Long before George Harrison emerged as one of rock's most respected songwriters, he spent years trying to define his place inside the Beatles. While John Lennon and Paul McCartney naturally dominated the band's songwriting partnership, Harrison's role often centered on adding the guitar parts that gave their recordings texture and personality. Most of the time, he accepted that position without complaint. But one recording session in 1964 revealed that even Harrison had his limits. The song was "I'll Follow the Sun," a gentle Paul McCartney composition that sounded effortless on record. Built around acoustic guitars and understated melodies, it remains one of the warmest moments on Beatles for Sale. Yet, behind its relaxed atmosphere was a subtle disagreement that hinted at the creative dynamics already taking shape within the band. By the time the Beatles entered the studio to record Beatles for Sale, they were running on little more than momentum. Beatlemania had transformed them into international stars almost overnight, filling their schedule with relentless touring, television appearances, film work, and recording sessions. There was little time left to write new material. That pressure is reflected throughout the album. Unlike A Hard Day's Night, which featured entirely original songs, Beatles for Sale returned to several cover versions, simply because Lennon and McCartney had not written enough new compositions. Even original songs often continued evolving during the recording process, rather than arriving fully finished. Fortunately, McCartney had an older song waiting in the wings. He had written "I'll Follow the Sun" years before the Beatles became famous, long before worldwide success reshaped both the band and their music. Revisiting it during the Beatles for Sale sessions gave the group a chance to preserve a piece of their early songwriting, one that still carried the innocence and melodic simplicity of their pre-fame years. That simplicity became one of the recording's greatest strengths. With its restrained acoustic arrangement, every instrument served a clear purpose. There were no elaborate studio effects or dense layers of production to disguise weak ideas. Every musical decision mattered, including the song's brief but memorable guitar solo. Naturally, Harrison expected to play it. As the Beatles' lead guitarist, moments like these were among his most important contributions. But according to recording engineer Geoff Emerick, the session took an unexpected turn when John Lennon began working on the solo himself. Writing in Here, There, and Everywhere, Emerick recalled Harrison becoming visibly frustrated during the session. Despite the overall good vibe of the day, George Harrison seemed annoyed, perhaps because he hadn't been given much to do. At one point, he marched into the control room and complained loudly, "You know, I'd like to do the solo on this one. I am supposed to be the lead guitarist in this band, after all." The remark may have sounded simple, but it revealed something larger than a disagreement over a few bars of music. Harrison was beginning to feel the limitations of his place inside the group. While Lennon and McCartney made most of the creative decisions, opportunities for Harrison to shape a recording could sometimes feel surprisingly limited. Those frustrations would become more visible later in the Beatles' career, particularly as Harrison developed into a songwriter capable of producing classics such as Something and Here Comes the Sun. On I'll Follow the Sun, however, Harrison ultimately got the opportunity he wanted. His gentle, sliding guitar solo lasts only a few seconds, yet it provides one of the recording's most memorable moments. Rather than drawing attention to itself, the performance quietly complements McCartney's melody, adding warmth and emotional depth without disturbing the song's delicate balance. Looking back, the session offers more than an interesting studio anecdote. It captures an early glimpse of Harrison's growing artistic confidence. He wasn't simply asking to play a solo, he was asking to contribute in the role he had always been meant to fill. Years later, Harrison would earn recognition as one of the Beatles' finest creative voices, but on a quiet afternoon in 1964, during the recording of one modest acoustic song, that journey toward creative independence became visible for the first time.